Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
A Moorhead woman has a warning for us all tonight. 2 years ago, she sold her phone at an AT&T store.
And 2 years later, she finds out that the same phone still has all her personal stuff on it, like pictures and bank account information, and someone else is using it. Valley News Team's Melanie Palmer sat down with the woman and has her story.
That's the scary part, is I don't know what they have access to.
Becky Anderson got a strange text Sunday morning.
Said, "Hi, I have your iPhone 5. It must have been lost or stolen."
It was from a number she's never seen before. In fact, it was from the Ukraine. And at first, she thought it might be a scam.
Picture of my daughter's in the background of it. It was the lock screen.
But then she started texting this number back, and she soon found out the person who was texting bought the phone on eBay. That's when Anderson remembered bringing her phone to an AT&T store about 2.5 years ago.
The phone was dead. It had severe water damage. I couldn't turn it on. There was nothing I could do with it. So I went to AT&T and traded in my phone.
But get this. She says when she brought it to the store all that time ago, it was never cleared of her personal information. And now, stuff like this.
My emails, potentially. Anything that I had saved on that phone, documents, personal documents,
is still on that phone.
If you have an iPhone, you can check on your iCloud to see if it was ever erased.
Carl Burfine buys, sells, and fixes phones as part of his business. And he tells us whenever he buys a phone from a customer, they always clear it when the customer is still there. But he says not all places do that.
We are not required to clear the device. We do because it's the correct thing to do, but there's no law stating that we have to.
And that's why Anderson wanted to do this story. She wants to make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else.
This is coming up 2.5 years later, and now potentially all of my info has been compromised.
Anderson also tells us she did get in contact with the AT&T store she sold the phone to, but says they couldn't help because it happened so long ago. But she found a way around it. She talked with a tech expert who helped delete her personal information off the phone. In Fargo, Melanie Palmer, Valley News Live.
We contacted the AT&T store on 13th Avenue South in Fargo, where Anderson says she sold the phone. They weren't able to comment on the matter, but we did leave a message with the AT&T spokesperson. There's been an arrest surrounding that fatal hunting-related incident on the White Earth Indian Reservation earlier this month. 54-year-old Morris Dodd Jr. is in the Becker County Jail on charges of second-degree murder, manslaughter, and felon in possession with a firearm. On November 10th, the body of 53-year-old Jay Clayton Nelson was found with a fatal gunshot wound. Nelson was traveling on a Becker County trail when a bullet struck his vehicle.
It has been a little dicey for some drivers this evening. The snow and a light glaze of ice are making roads slick all around the area. Let's find out how it looks overnight and tomorrow morning. Hutch?
Andrea, it looks like the bulk of the snow on the radar is now pushed off into portions of eastern Minnesota, but we still have unsettled weather here in the valley, with another band from Langdon through Grand Forks working its way off to the east. There are areas of light freezing drizzle out there, and with temperatures at the ground here below freezing, there will be icy patches across our valley as we go through the overnight hours. We do have some reduced visibility as well across eastern North Dakota. Jamestown reporting 1.5 miles of visibility. First thing in the morning, expect temperatures that'll be about where they are right now, and road conditions will once again be somewhat challenging. So travel like you normally would on a wintry day. Warmer weather is working its way in. I'll have details on how warm we get and how long it'll be before our next flakes fly here in a minute.
All right, thanks, Hutch.
He was walking fine, he was standing fine. He even crawled into his car on his hands and knees to get his registration for the officer. Now, Warren's problems came after his arrest and as a result of his arrest.
Law enforcement is not criminally responsible for the death of a Valley City man. That's according to a memo released today by a special prosecutor for Barnes County.
Warren Linville died in custody from a broken neck, which the state says was probably due to a fall before his arrest. But the attorney for Linville's family says that doesn't mean law enforcement didn't cause his death.
They're doing okay, but this is a horrible injustice.
Cash Alland is representing Warren Linvold's family. after the 72-year-old died earlier this year after being arrested by the Valley City Police and held in the Barnes County Correctional Center. The state says law enforcement isn't responsible for Linvold's death. Olin disagrees.
We believe the conduct of the Valley City Police Department, the officers involved in the Barnes County Jail, is reckless, horrible. It involved the use of excess force, but we were not at all confident that there would be criminal charges.
An autopsy says Linvold died of a broken neck. His chronic arthritis, which didn't allow him to turn his neck, is also listed as a significant contributing factor. Olin says dashcam video of Linvold's arrest shows him being put in a pain compliance hold, and the state's own memo says Linvold was assisted into the patrol car.
If you knew this, you wouldn't do this. I know you wouldn't. Oh, please. Let me die.
The state says Linvold's cervical fracture was probably due to a fall before his arrest. Even if that were true, Olin says law enforcement's actions still brought about his death.
People with a fracture of their spine don't die. But when they are hauled around and dragged by their arms and submitted to or exposed to the kind of force these officers gave him, that's certainly I think is responsible for Warren's death.
So while the criminal case is closed, Olin says there's still a chance more information will come out.
When the whole story comes out, and it will come out, I believe that justice will be done too for Warren Linvold and his family.
Veronica Marshall, Valley News Live.
Olin says Linvold's family is considering whether or not to go after the Valley City police officers and the Barnes County Correctional Center in civil court. Police want you to know about a high-risk sex offender who's living in Horace. Police say David Lilly Jr. is living at 22 Horseshoe Bend Trailer Court. Lilly is 5'8", 195 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. Court documents say when Lilly was 26 years old, he had sex with a 13-year-old girl. Days after the offense, Lilly allegedly contacted the girl and said he would kill her family if they didn't get married. The documents also state that Lilly threatened to kill the girl if their relationship were to end.
Tonight, the snow and ice couldn't keep people away from attending a candlelight vigil for a North Dakota family that died in a car wreck.
Although the family spent less than 6 months living in the state, they left an indelible imprint on their small community. Valley News Team's Joshua Pagero has this report from Manville.
Katie Osawaski and Brianna Baum wanted to preserve the Dean family's memory. The Deans moved to Manville only in May, yet left a lasting mark.
When you reflect back and see their faces and stuff, you start to realize how familiar their faces were.
Dozens packed the church pews to reflect on that family. The Dean's vehicle was found by Montana Highway Patrol during the Thanksgiving Day holiday in a ditch 6 miles outside of Billings. Anthony and Chelsea Dean bought a farmhouse in Manville after Anthony was transferred to the Grand Forks Air Force Base from California. In that vehicle, unfortunately, were the couple's 2 young kids, 5-year-old Caitlin and 1-year-old Avery. Baum says Caitlin was on a hockey team and enrolled in kindergarten in Manville.
Our school has been very good to all of our children.
Incredible.
They have a lot of support staff coming in and counselors, things like that.
Caitlin's class also made things to remember their friend.
They put a collage together of Caitlin with pictures throughout the kindergarten year so far, and some children were writing letters.
But as people lit candles and shed tears Wednesday to remember the family, they also used the time to heal from the loss.
Whether we all grieve, independently and individually of each other, but to come together and know that we are all in this together, and also to show that support to their families.
The community hopes to never host another candlelight vigil. One family gone is one too many. In Manville, Joshua Pagero, Valley News Live.
A funeral will be held in the Dean family's hometown of Caldwell, Idaho on December 8th. Meanwhile, we contacted Montana Highway investigators for an update on that deadly crash. We haven't heard back from them yet on that cause.
Later on Valley News Live at 10, love is in the air as we get to that point of year when people start popping the question.
And yesterday, temperatures as we began the day were in the teens. We've been steadily warming since, but a soupy day across the valley with clouds, gray skies, and some mixed precipitation. Your hour-by-hour forecast is coming up right after this.